Hello all and welcome back to Sky Factory for episode 8. This is Mord. This episode we're going to continue along the AE2 path and get some of our machines for auto processing of goods and auto crafting for some of our crafting results. And then we'll probably start automating some metal input from trees into Tinker's Construct, and then possibly getting into building our Chinese workshop area up there that will disguise our secret base down here once we get some walls and stuff. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, we ask that you do that. It'll help you follow along. It'll help us know you're watching. But let's get into it. So what I want to do first of all, where we left off, we had our inscribers set up, we had our AE2 ME system set up and basic crafting, but we hadn't yet automated the processing of materials, and I wanted to go ahead and I've placed the crusher and the smelter down here and get anything that needs to be crushed or smelted, give them a place to be defined in our ME system. All it will take to do that is a couple interfaces. So, and we put some import buses. So right now, if you're to smelt something, you would put it in here. It would smelt and then it would suck it back into the system. So if we wanted to take a piece of nether quartz, we could do that. And I'll go ahead and take a piece of crushed quartz out here. So we can take our nether quartz, we put it in here to crush. You'll see that it disappears and goes into the system. The import bus sucks it in, and then if we take crushed quartz, it'll go into silicon, and that silicon will also get sucked into the system. So that's how you would do it manually. In order to automate it, we do the same thing we did before, but we stick our interfaces on top, make sure that they are connected to a piece of glass cable, and then we're going to have to create patterns for both of those. So let's go ahead and make one for nether quartz to crushed quartz, and crushed quartz to silicon. So we need processing patterns. We're going to say nether quartz can turn into crushed quartz in code. And we're going to say crushed quartz can turn into silicon in code. And you'll also notice that we put in crafting patterns for patterns. So we'll actually end up making our patterns in the ME system once we get our iron and stuff in here, but we do have to get all these recipes in first. So in the crusher, we're going to say that nether quartz can turn into crushed quartz. And in the smelter, we're going to say that crushed quartz can turn into silicon, but I need to do that in the interface here. Right, so now when we want to craft those, we can. We'll craft 10 crushed quartz. We have plenty of quartz. It'll start. You'll see the crusher start to run. It sends them in. And then we'll test our smelter as well. We have enough coprocessors that we can go ahead and do that. So let's get some silicon out of here, and we'll tell it to craft, I don't know, a few of those. And, oh, we have to get another CPU slot, I think, to do that. So let's go ahead and let that finish, and then we'll test the smelter as well. I think we actually have to separate these out into separate CPUs. So have a separate block structure that will do that, and the extra coprocessing units just speeds it up. Okay, so then we'll also test our smelter. Start, and then the smelter fires up. See, so that works the same way. We want to do the same thing with the crystal growth chamber. So we'll want a interface, and on the interface, this is going to be a little different because I believe that these will get sucked out before they're done. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to export or do an import bus, and on this import bus, oops, I didn't mean to put that there. Let me get this import bus on this side. The import bus has an item filter, right? So I think what we need to do is we need to take pure nether quartz crystal. And if we try to get nether quartz seed and put it in there, it's going to be ungrown. So I think basically on this import bus, we need to filter it by this. And it should be that specific item, so it won't import it to ME until the growth is complete, which is exactly what we want. And then our interface is going to be the ungrown version of the crystal, which I'll have to go get some because I don't think I have any sand ready. Okay, we've got them now. So we'll do the same thing. We're going to create a processing pattern for a 0% nether quartz seed. Put that down to 1. To a pure nether quartz crystal fully grown. And by default, ME will not match NBT tags, or it will match exact NBT tags unless you have a fuzzy card. So we're just not going to put a fuzzy card this, and it should work fine. So we basically say that this seed will turn into a quartz crystal. We'll put our seeds in here. Get rid of that, and we'll craft one. Start. It throws it into the chamber. It grows. It won't suck it out until it grows completely. It looks like it has no power. Oh, I see why. I blocked the power by putting the ends on each of these, so I'm going to have to run power cable down here, which will power that, and allow that to continue to grow. And then once that hits 100%, it should suck it back into the system. And then we'll have the ability to grow these pure nether quartz crystals in the system, which we'll need for our calculation processors. So that's important that we have that auto-generating as we need it. Now we'll also have to get a recipe in to generate the basic seeds, and then we could pretty much see, now it sucked it back in. We could pretty much do the entire process. We do need to get the recipe for these into the system, which is going to be quartz dust. Let's craft one. Quartz dust and sand. So we will change this to a crafting pattern. Sand, quartz dust, and encode. And we can actually take that and put it over here in our molecular assembler. And then if we need to, we can go here. Oh, you know, we don't have a crafting card in here yet. So we would need a crafting card in this interface. So we can craft this for now. Oh, I'm out of sand. But we could craft it if we had it in there, and then we'll just go ahead and craft one of these, and that should work. So that's how they work. So that's basically how we put interfaces on external machines or even AE2 machines, as long as you can tell it that you want to put an item in and then take another item out from whatever that machine will process. That's how you use an external machine in AE2. And that will apply to many different machines. I probably won't show them all if they're simply just setting up an interface. From now on, I'll just say I'm setting up an interface on this machine, and if you've got further questions, feel free to ask, and I'll be glad to go into detail. But there's no reason to cover the same content over and over again. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to take these things out to further expand our system, and as I see anything interesting, I'll come back and detail that out. Okay guys, it looks like we're starting to have our first power issues, and I think it has something to do with these cyclic energy cables, because I'm showing power here, but it doesn't seem to be getting sucked into the energy acceptor at an acceptable rate, and this thing keeps getting shut off when I put my drives in here, right? So it's quite a problem. I'm going to see if I can change. See, it just went off and it comes back on. I'm going to take these out because it does seem to drain a bit slower. But I think I'm going to change these cyclic cables to integrated dynamics cables, and I set up a few recipes here to showcase that. So you're going to need some logic cable, and I'm probably going to get, it looks like 16 of these, which should be enough to do a stack of them. Pretty easy recipe. You just need a lot of mineral for this. So mineral is basically, you know, from that sapling. And we also need variable cards, and these are to set whether your outputs are going to be on or off. Which I'll show a little bit of that. For now, we're just going to use them to do trues, and true means that it'll be on. So these blank variable cards will always be true, so we're going to get those. And then we need to create energy interfaces, and those are going to be used to attach a battery to our network. And it's also going to be used for the next couple recipes we're going to show. So we're going to need these energy interfaces, and then we're going to do import and export energy cables or interfaces, energy importer, energy exporter. And we basically just need these interfaces here. Maybe it's like this. Hang on, let's look at it. The energy import. Oh, you know what? We need the input variable transformers, which takes two variable cards, not these. So those will go on after that. But we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we'll get these, and then we'll go ahead and make our energy importer out of that. So I'm going to do, this is going to go to our generators. So we're going to need quite a few of these. And that's going to use all my interfaces. So let's just take like 4 of those or 5 of those. That's fine. Exporters are not going to be nearly as important. So let's go ahead and take those. I don't have enough room here. I really needed more space. take our interfaces, and we're going to also create the same thing with our exporters. Oh man, I'm way too short on space here. All right, sorry about that. My inventory was kind of cramped just because of the ME issues. But instead, so here are the recipes. You need the input variable transformer, which we just showed the recipe for, and the energy interface to create importers. I've got enough of those here, and I also made some more interfaces. I was short on redstone. And then our output variable transformer instead of our input variable transformer makes energy exporters. So that's just to take it in and out, and we're going to actually store it inside one of our batteries that already exists. So let's really quickly just show how it's going to be hooked up. And I'm going to transfer this over between the network types, right? Because these, while they're full, don't seem to be working well. So I'm going to get these out. They've been holding plenty of lava, but they're not holding a ton of energy. So I'm going to try that and see if it's something with these pipes or if I need to upgrade my energy sources. So I'm going to do energy importers on these. We're going to put a variable card in, which is here. And let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. And we'll go ahead and right-click on, oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and put the cable on them as well. Still kind of dealing with inventory being very full. But we should take our variable cards now. And we basically just need to say true, right? So we're not doing anything with this. There is a variable modifier, like a block to modify variables if you want to do some logic on these, but for now I just want it to import this energy all the time. And then what I'm going to do is run this down to my battery that's down below. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do an energy importer. We'll take our logic cable, run it down, and I'll cut to that. And okay, so now we're down here and I've got it run down to the battery that's behind the ME machine, and notice it is filling this up from those few generators we hooked up. And then we're going to need an energy exporter on the energy acceptor, right? So if we do this, and we're going to also have to put a variable card in there to say true, and it should start powering our ME system. So let's see how that does. I also think I need to put an energy interface on this so it can suck it out of it. It's basically that attaches an energy holder to the network, so I think I need to be able to do this, put the interface here, and that should start feeding power to this. It's now online. I do want to see if it's enough to keep up, and I need to hook the other ones up, but we'll check on it. I'm going to go ahead and hook the rest of those up, and I may also use this for fluid, but we will see that when we come back. But it does look like it's actually filling this up. It's going down a little bit, so we're going to have to hook the rest up and see where we are in energy, and then we may have to look into upgrading these lava machines, but we'll take a look at that when we get back. Okay, we're back, and we have both of our drives in, access to our stuff again. Now, not all this is hooked up. I don't have all my glass cable hooked back up and stuff, but it does seem to be climbing with its energy usage. So that's a good sign. And you can actually look at these energy exporters, and they have the total amount of storage or energy storage attached to the network. I do have another battery upstairs that I may hook into this as well to give us more. It's right up here. So what I would have to do is run logic cable up here and hook it in to this, which I may do, but for now this looks good. I do think that we're going to really quick look into how to upgrade these lava generators just to get them a little faster, because I do think we're going to have power issues, and then we basically need to get to where we have this automated enough that we can generate one of our reactors. But I do need to look a little more into resources to be able to do that. So we'll look at that probably when we get back. I am going to see if I can get this back online with the new, or I guess with the new cabling, and see if we can actually get it to a stable point power-wise. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we are definitely low on power. The more I put in there, the more it draws, and we're having issues with ME and power. So I think, well, I was looking at the reactors that come with it, and every one of the reactors requires a resource hog setup, or maybe like mystical agriculture. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about how to do that. But to supplement, for now, I'm going to get a combustion generator and start pulling in the wood that's being produced here. I'm going to have to pull this stuff into the ME system anyways. So I just put oak wood on these import buses, which they aren't powered right now because the whole system's down, and I've got my battery kind of filling up from what I've got down here. So let's go ahead and build these recipes and get to where we can actually do some combustion stuff. So one of the things we're going to need are these modifier components, and this is so we can make the upgradable versions. So I'm going to go ahead and create some of those. They were black concrete powder, pretty simple to make. And we also need to make the actual combustion generator, which is stone, iron, furnace, and a block of redstone. I'll probably make a bunch of these, but for now I'm going to make one upgradable. And in order to turn it into an upgradable, we take those modifier components, we surround it with it, and that's the upgradable one. And I accidentally made a few of these speed modifiers, but here's the recipe for it. Gold, redstone, and the modifier components. We can put 4 stacks of these in, so we're going to need to make a bunch of those. It'll take a bunch of gold, but for now we're going to use that, and I've got a place down here, so those are the import buses. And hooked into the same network is this ME cable, and I'm going to put it on this power thing here, and let me go ahead and put it down. And we're going to go ahead and put the export bus on it. We're going to set that to oak wood, and then we're going to put these speed modifiers in. We're also going to have to hook it into this, and I don't have the component for that. Let me grab that real quick. Okay, let's drop it here. Put a variable card in it. That will get the input going, and then we're going to need to turn it on. So I'll come down here, and I will make sure I power this up with a variable card. As you can see, this has been pulling, so let's see if it's growing again. It is actually growing. That's good to see. We have our ME system powered up. Let's take a look here real quick. And it does look like this is actually burning oak wood, and it's coming in fast enough. The only thing is I don't know as we pull it in if we're going to have capacity issues, but we'll keep an eye on it and see. It does look like it's actually climbing with FE, so that's very good. I may expand that out as we go, but that's going to get us through until we can get to a reactor setup, and the reactor requires quite a bit of thorium. And thorium, there is no way to get that through bonsais, right? So we have to get that through resource hogs or mystical agriculture. So I'm going to get a plan together on how we're going to approach that, and we'll probably plan pretty soon to get something more powerful, or if this doesn't expand out well. So we'll be right back. All right, I have a few more recipes ready here, and you could probably tell that things were a little bit jumbled trying to get everything figured out. But I think I have a solution that makes sense. One of the things that is really cool with this mod pack, or maybe a little overpowered, are filing cabinets. And one of the things I have to figure out is how to get these imported without hitting my energy stores for ME way too hard. So I think I'm going to use filing cabinets and storage buses. So to do that, I'm going to go over a couple recipes. One is the file folders. We use these for filing cabinets mod. These are how you specify each individual item you're going to store in the filing cabinets. I'll get 1 stack. It should be enough for now. And I'll leave the rest here for now. And then your filing cabinets, this is the recipe for your filing cabinets. It's just a chest surrounded by iron bars. So it's really simple. And it's a little overpowered just because there is so much that you can put in these. But I will go ahead and get, like, I don't know. I guess if they're going to be a stack anyways, I'll just get them all. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was the next mulch upgrade, because I'm going to start trying to get these upgrades to speed up the tree growth. And so here is one of the items that we need for that is biofuel. And to get biofuel, you just take a sapling and you put it in a Mekanism Crusher, which I'm not going to show you because it's really simple. You just put the sapling in, and we've got saplings all over from our trees. And then you put it with your brown mulch to get yellow mulch. So I'm going to go ahead and get these. And there's more we can do on these upgrades, which we'll work on soon, but we need a few machines to do that. And then the last thing we're going to need, and the way that we're going to not have such an impact on our ME storage system, is we're going to use the filing cabinets to store them, and then we're going to use storage buses to actually hook them up to the network. So I'm going to make one of those. It's just a sticky piston, a regular piston, and an ME interface. And then I will show you how that works. So let's go over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up one of each sapling around probably a square, and that's where we're going to set up our first Chinese workshop building, is maybe over that and sort of make it look like a pagoda or something like that. I'm not sure yet, but I know I'm going to do something like that. So What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up one of these filing cabinets. And I don't know if I have to be next to a transparent block with them to open them, but you do need an open hand to open it. It does look like I can't open it. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to actually do this to edit it, right? So that's what it looks like when it is open. And then we're gonna take our filing folders, and we have to get a couple blocks. Let's go ahead and set up iron. So this is my iron. So one of the things we're gonna want here, we're gonna want oak wood. We're going to want iron acorns. We're gonna want iron resin. And iron saplings. We'll go ahead and save those items in here. So what we'll do is we'll come over to this filing cabinet. In our crafting window, we can say, give me a filing folder with iron resin, for example. We'll make an iron resin folder. We can then put that in here. We'll do the same thing with iron saplings and oak wood. And we'll take both of those and put them in. So we see oak wood, iron resin, iron sapling, and we're also going to need iron acorn, which is right there. Take another folder, craft it with iron acorn. And then we can close that drawer up. And then we'll have to take one of our bonsai pots, which we'll go ahead and take our iron sapling bonsai pot. Break that. Got it here. And that will go directly on top of that filing cabinet. So we can set it there for now. We'll take our yellow mulch that we just made, which is a little faster than our brown mulch. We'll put it in there. And then we'll take our iron sapling and grow it. All right, so what that'll do is as that grows, it's going to put more of these in here. I'm not going to wait for that to finish, but it will do that. And then we'll go ahead and take our Emmy storage bus. And I'm going to float down below it here for now. Get up here. And I put it on the bottom of that. So now that storage bus should be showing online. Which I can't quite see it. But you'll notice that iron resin, oak wood, iron sapling, and iron acorn are now going up. And oak wood is being taken down. And the reason oak wood is being taken down is it's getting put into our generator over here. So if we look down here, we should see oak wood coming in to this generator, right? And as we get more of these set up, that will continue to feed in there, and we don't have to worry about our chests filling up because the capacity on these filing cabinets is huge. So I'm going to keep doing that with every sapling type and moving this stuff around as I need to make room for it. Ultimately, like I said, this is going to be a platform inside of some sort of Chinese-looking building, and it'll be the center point of our current Chinese village, or the start of our Chinese village. So I'm going to get a few more of those going, and then we'll pop back and look at the finished product. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, cleanup is almost complete. It's been quite an effort, but I have 10 by 10 of these hopping bonsai pots going into filing cabinets with my individual bonsai pots going into it. If we go down and take a look, you can see they all have storage buses on them, and they're coming back to the main system here. And I also added this energy cell as a buffer, which resolved the turning on and turning off issue. And we have added some upgrades here to keep up. And there's more room. As you can see, I'm staying full, and it's keeping up, and this is keeping up with our entire system without a problem. These are really doing nothing now. Looking at it in hindsight, I probably could have set these up as a single upgradable generator, but now I've got the resources to do that easily. I might, or I may just forget about lava altogether, because this will probably get us to a reactor once we start looking at crops and stuff to get the fuel for that. Now down here, I've made some changes. As you can see, I've spread things out a little bit. I set up a little data center over here. I'm going to be putting up walls, and I'm probably going to turn this area into an office. And then I'll have a data center over there that has all of our server type stuff in it. Maybe if I get into open computers, I'll have some of that in the same room. And this is all of our Mekanism machines, or it will be. I made 9 spots for our Mekanism factories, and we're probably going to get into upgrading these into factories soon. But I want to start creating our Chinese pagoda up there, and I'm running short on time, so I was going to go over it and sort of showcase that as the very end of the episode. Let's take a quick look at the Chinese workshop mod and just show some of the blocks off. The basic components are clay around yellow to make yellow clay, clay around black to make black clay, which you can fire both of those into bricks. We have black brick that can make this black brick wall. We can also make a rouge brick, which is just bricks around black. And we can also make a white-gray wall with sand and nether quartz. Now, there are a lot of other blocks in it. We're going to take a quick look at them here, but laying them all out would take quite a while, so I'm not planning on doing that. Here's the yellow brick, and you can see that you can make these different types of roofs in the Chinese architecture style. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm probably going to make this one with a black roof, and I'm not sure on the walls yet, but I'm going to go up and play around with that, and when I come back, I may show a little bit about how that works and how to switch blocks. But basically, you take one of these blocks, you hold V, and you can change between the different shapes. V is the one I have configured, but it's basically like a mode key that's in the key bindings. So you have to set that up. And there are also cool lanterns and doors and thresholds and pillars. So I'm going to use all that to sort of work through the Chinese building up there and probably make that village and get it started. But I'll do that once I'm done with this section. So the other thing I wanted to go over was a couple more AE2 recipes, things that I'm starting to need. Some of those are going to be expansion cards. So this is the recipe for an advanced card: diamonds, redstone, iron, and a calculation processor. This is the recipe for the basic card, which is gold calculation processor other than diamonds. You just swap the diamonds out for gold. So I'm going to make these, and we'll show some of these off. One of them is the crafting card, and we've talked about this before, but the crafting card makes it where I can call crafting recipes from an ME export bus. And I had said before that you need it for an interface, but it doesn't seem to need it. If it's a ME recipe, I'm not sure what it is or isn't that actually makes it not need it, but just try it, and if you can't craft the item, then you may be missing a crafting card. So that's what crafting card does. This is for the acceleration card. This takes an advanced card. It's probably the only advanced card we're really going to be using, and it speeds up everything, so it's very valuable, and it does increase your power costs to run it, but it makes it run faster. So as your power ability goes up, these are very useful because you can speed everything up. This one is for the redstone card, which is another basic card. And that makes it where you can turn a machine on and off, or an import or export bus on or off with a redstone signal, which is very nice as well. Then we have the capacity card. Oh, actually, that might actually be a... Hang on, let's check. That might be a... There it is. Capacity card. And what capacity card does is it makes it where your import buses and export buses can import more items on a single bus. So if you look at these, if your bus is by default, they have a spot for one item. You can use one of these to open it to, I believe, 3, or 2 to take it up to 9. It might be up to 5 and then up to 9. But it makes it where you can put more items in and out. And then we're going to also take a look. That's really all the cards we were going to cover. There are a couple more. So if we do applied card, you can see that there is a fuzzy card, which we've talked about as well, but it makes it where you don't match NBT tags on items, so you could, or damage values, so you could take a bow at any damage value. If you put a normal bow in, it would take any damage bow out as well. It would match it, so it's useful for that. The inverter card, I'm not real sure what it does. I'll have to look into that more. I'm not planning on using it, but maybe there's something useful there, so I'll look into it. And if there is, I'll bring it up. And then the rest of them we've talked about. So the other thing we wanted to talk about was the level emitter. And what the level emitter does is you can assign an object to it, and it looks at your inventory and tells you it'll turn on when you exceed a certain amount. So this is useful for things like items that are going to pile up in a system, and when you get over like 100 of them, you would want to turn this on and then maybe pipe your items to a trash bin or something like that. So for example, sticks with this mod. If I had 1,000 sticks, I could set this to 128 sticks to turn on and put it on an export bus with a redstone card, and then that export bus would turn on once you get to 128 sticks, and it would trash everything else if you were to export sticks with that until it gets down to 128. So instead of getting rid of them all, it would keep 128. I can demonstrate that. But that is a level emitter. And then you take that level emitter and combine it with a illuminated panel to get a storage monitor. And a storage monitor just shows you how much you have in inventory of something on a screen. So you can tie an item to it, and it'll show you how many of those you have left, and just put that on a glass cable to use it. So then if we take that and we combine that with a crafting unit, which we've already talked about, that will create a crafting monitor, which you can put in your crafting CPUs to tell you what's being crafted. And I'm going to show you that before I leave. And then the last thing I wanted to show was this energy cell recipe, which I already created one. I'm not going to create one now because I already created one and used it as a buffer. But this gives you AE in your system, and it'll store it in a battery. So if you do have issues where your AE system's cutting on and off, it's a good way to make a buffer of energy inside your network, so your network will not shut off on you. But let's go and place this crafting monitor real fast. You can see that it breaks this block, breaks this multi-block to do that. But once you put this one back in, I'm going to make it face this way, and I'll probably do this with all of our crafting CPUs to give a screen about on what's being crafted. So if I come in here and I say I want to craft, let's just craft one of these. It'll most likely use that, I would think. Maybe not, but it will once it starts cooking, and it'll show here whatever's crafting in this multi-block. So I'm planning on putting one of these in each one, and each one of these is a single crafting CPU, and each of these co-processing units speeds them up, so it'll tell you what that's working on whenever it is auto-crafting something. And we'll get one on this one as well, and we use that so we can kind of keep track of things and see what's crafting where, and what we're waiting on. So that covers just about everything I wanted to show here. I'm going to go up and work on the pagoda a little bit, and then I'll come back and show that briefly at the end of the episode, and then we'll wrap it up. So I'll be back with that. And here's a quick example. This one was sent 40 silicon, and as it actually is crafting the silicon and smelting over there, this is coordinating that operation, and you can see that it's counting down that's what this CPU is being used for. So it's useful if you want to know, hey, there's a backup in my system, I can't really tell what it's backed up on. That will tell you. So I'll be back with the pagoda. All right, guys, here we are in our brand new Chinese workshop mod town square with a fountain here, and we've also got our tree farm set up around the outside. It turned out pretty good. It definitely gives you a ton of options for building, and the overall effect I think is pretty cool. Let's take a quick swoop around here, and we will just take a quick look at things from overhead. It's a pretty cool view, and we've also got our lab down below, which eventually will have this all overworld over it. This will all be hidden down inside a big rock, and we'll have secret entrances from up here down there, and it should be a pretty cool little setup when we're all done. So I like where this is going. I can't wait to see where it goes, but that'll be it for this episode. We'll see you next time.